all of which was stolen by her Jewish friends that were both Russian and Israeli intelligence. They took her ideas and gave it secretly or directly to Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos, and they hashed out a plan to get her out of the country so that Renetta could not contest the stolen technology or be paid. Eventually, she moved back to the United States and began to work as a certified administrative professional at the United Nations agencies in New York City. In 2004, Renetta met with the disgraced fashion designer Peter Nygaard, who had shapeshifted into a T-Rex reptilian in front of her. And maybe we can have time to go into that. But Renetta believes she's an SSP experiencer and has contact with extraterrestrials throughout her life. She's a medium portal and has communicated with beings from inner Earth. We've had contact with Isis already. We've had contact with some the beings from Yoguni. And today we have some information to share with a conversation between King Oban of the Kemet civilization located underneath Trinidad, which is known as El Dorado, which apparently is all real. But we will learn more about their Gold Kingdom culture and what the king has to say about the Vatican humanity in general. So also there is a link. I just updated the video to the actual article if you want to go read that. Thank you all for joining us today. How are you, Renetta?
Hi, James. Thank you so much for having me. So where do you like to start?
Thank you very much. So audience members, if you have some questions about our guests, go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll get to them as long as they're appropriate. But yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's start off. I'm going to go ahead and toss that off. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go back to, wow, there's so much that we can go into. How about we discuss just briefly, what do you remember how about the missing time in high school? So what do you think was going on, I guess, after our session work that we were doing?
Well, I want to thank James because I reached out to him because I believed that he would be able to help me regress and find the memories that were missing from high school. So I went to high school for approximately 3 years. I graduated 1 year early. And in my awakening, I went back to high school because my body is filled literally with technology. And James has those pictures. He has some of them, not all of them. And I was trying to figure out like what was done to me. And part of my memory was around 15 years old, and I'll go into that later. But the majority of it stemmed around high school. So as I began to remember, I wanted to know like, hey, like what was going on in my high school? And that's when I realized that I literally had no memory of lunchtime at all. And it was a friend who was very high up in, let's just say he worked for 3 US presidents and extremely high up there. Like, I can't say any more about that. But in talking to him, he told me, he said, well, that's when they took you. And I was like, took me. And something said to me, go back and look at your high school. And if you go into the courtyard of my high school, there's a giant black cube on 66th Street. And on that black cube, they literally made the face of a person. And the face of the person on the left side is all cybernetics. On the left side of my body is all cybernetics. And barcodes, chips in the teeth, cybernetics for the eyes. And this was built in, I think, 78. Okay. So he was telling me, because of his background as a cryptographer, he was telling me the meaning of some of the codes on that cube. Now, the interesting thing is the codes on the cube was related to Martin Luther King Jr., right? And civil rights, but that was the outer working of the codes. But the inner working of the codes, that's a black cube, but that's not the black cube from my high school. So what you do is you type in Martin Luther King Jr. High School, Manhattan. I should have sent you the pictures, right?
Yeah, well, you did, but they're not in my notes. But
okay, that's the black cube. Okay, you see the face on the left side. That's it. That's the cybernetic. Okay, go to the other side. Not that one. That's the other. No, that's the right picture. No, go back to the first picture. Right. Okay. Not the circle, but the rectangle. Up, go up. That's the cybernetics where the eye should be. Okay. If you go down, the squares at the bottom. Okay, to the right. Move to the right. Okay, that's cybernetics in the tooth. Okay. Now, if you look at my CT scans, MRIs of my brain, you'll see the cybernetics in my head. Okay. I had cybernetics in the exact same tooth that is on that black cube. I have cybernetics, a whole system in my pelvic area. And then I found out last year when I went to Arizona, I sent James the video. James, if you want to pull up the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, yeah, that's the cybernetics in my brain. So you can zoom in and see.
You want me to bring up the PowerPoint, or should I just display these pictures?
Yeah, you can display this because that's the cybernetics in my brain magnified. The 4, yeah, there we go. Okay, the 4 white dots and the long white dot that looks like a rice. So that's the cybernetics in my brain.
Is that right? So these white dots should not be there?
No. And the thing is, doctors would say, oh, that's calcification. No, it's not, because calcification should not give you a signal. And I have the signals for what's in my body. Okay, this one, if you zoom this one out. Okay, so if you go to where the junction for my eye is, where the eye and the brain meets on your left. Okay?
Over here?
That's cybernetics. Yeah, go up. Go straight up. Now go left. Right there. Okay, now go to the right. A little bit to the, that's it. That's all that cybernetics, right? Go all the way to the right, to the red circle. Right there. All the way to the right, far right. And up. That's a wire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. Go all the way to the left. Okay. Go up. And now left. Go straight left. That is for audio. So like if they're communicating with me, I can hear through that device. I literally hear through that device they implanted. Okay. These are not calcification. This is not calcification. This is technology. Okay. So you can go on to the next photo. So these are some of the experiments. Okay. This one you can see. Okay. So if you go to the top, all the way to the top, under the S. Okay. Under the S, that's technology in my brain.
So this is the top of your head?
Yeah, that's the top of my head.
Okay.
That's technology.
So between the right and left, corpus callosums, what, I guess they're trying to hijack that or monitor it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on next.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
If you want, you could do the
or maybe that's
there's one in my pelvic area that you need to see. You can move on from that one.
This?
You can move on from that one. That one. You can zoom that out. Okay. You see the magnification in the giant square? The big square on the screen. Okay, you see that? That's a chip in my pelvic area.
Where is this cross section on this?
Okay, that's the right side.
So it's somewhere over here that we're looking at?
No, it's exactly where the big square is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Go up. It's inside of that square because I'm just magnifying it.
But where is this? What is the magnification on this image here?
I think it's 400, 200 or 400 magnification.
I know. Okay, but where in this image is this? Is it?
Yeah, it's no. The magnification is over the chip, so it's exactly where it is.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, there's you. All right. So, oh, I had these pictures of stuff coming out of you. I guess I'll post it, but audience members, if you're squeamish, you may want to just close your eyes.
Yeah, you may want to run.
I mean, it's not blood involved, but it's like she's got some Morgellons stuff going on here. Okay, my screen share. Okay, here we go.
Okay, that's not Morgellons. That's okay. So what that is I went to go get. There's a whole grid, both alien and government technology, in my left pelvic area. Okay, and that is where they used to track me. Like I'm literally hooked up to both government technology and alien technology. Okay, and the government technology allows them to hook me up to satellites. It allows them to hook me up to cell phone towers, cell phone antennas. Okay, so I was trying to get this shut down. So I went to a scientist, and he built a device. Technically, I should not have been burned, but when he placed the device, it was about 30,000 volts. He was actually trying to kill the alien life form that was found running around in my pelvic area. I sent you the video for that, right? So when he turned it on, so instead of the alien life form being killed, what happened was that it brought up this entire grid that was hidden in my pelvic area. If you turn this image, there's another image I sent you, the same image, if you turn it upside down, okay, which is the next image. The same exact image is upside down because they invert stuff. Okay, now zoom into this. Zoom in. Okay, don't you see a face staring at you with a third eye and a crown?
No, the only thing I see is
the face, literally. I sent you the other picture with the face. And this is hidden in my body, under my skin. Okay. This is not what is it? What is it called? Morgellons. This is not Morgellons. That's the face. Okay. And that grid was hidden under my body. Now here's the crazy thing. If you were to take this same photo, right, upside down, okay, the original one, okay, and you would align it to Sirius, the star system, it looks exactly like the Sirius binary constellation. It's the exact same constellation. Okay, that is what was hidden under my belly. Okay, now if you go to the PowerPoint, PowerPoint presentation I sent you, because I want people to see the alien life form that is inside of me, and no, it is not parasites. Okay, because we tried to kill this thing with parasites and it got bigger. It's not a parasite. We tried to kill it with 30,000 volts, and that's the reason why we had to go to Rachel, Nevada. We went to Rachel, Nevada, to Little Alien, because the people there knew this type of alien species, this alien life form. In fact, if you go to Rachel, Nevada, in their book, they have a catalog of ETs that people encountered. And one of the ETs that they had to extract from someone's body was similar to the one that is in my pelvic area. So they told him, they said, listen, 30,000 volts is just going to irritate it. And that's why I have those radiation burns. He said, in order to kill this thing, yeah, little alien. But I sent in the PowerPoint presentation I sent you. Yeah.
It's Misha Johnson. I'm sorry. Look, continue on. I can take these off if it distracts.
No. What I'm saying is in the PowerPoint that I sent you, yes, that's bringing back memories. By the way, when we got to Little Alien, yes, we used harmonic resonance, but it didn't work. This is a very advanced alien technology. We did use harmonics. And what it did was basically at 30,000 volts, it ripped apart its spindles, okay, its arms. And when we removed the voltage, okay, it started soldering back its body parts. Okay, we watched it on the screen solder its body parts using some type of electrical current. We literally saw it, and that's in the video I sent you, like, bzz, 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 and then it soldered its body parts.
Yeah, I don't know where that video is. It's kind of buried, but I got your PowerPoint presentation.
No, open the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in there. It's the first, the second slide, the link in that slide. So we can show the people, yeah. Okay, go to the second, yeah, click that link.
Hopefully it's gonna...
Oh, you need access, okay.
Okay, well, we can just go on, I guess. Face of another being.
Yep.
So what was this?
These are some implants.
Okay.
Yeah, but I really wanted you to see, and you could literally see the creature in there.
Okay, I'll try to get this. Let's see. Oh yeah, we already looked. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, those are the burn marks.
Okay, but
okay, I want to show you this. Yeah, okay, these are burns. Okay, so you saw the burns on my skin, right? He was using pure aluminum electrodes, and he placed these pure aluminum electrode balls on this area to shut down this this reactor, because he said he's an actual scientist, ex-UK Ministry of Defense scientist. And he was shocked. He said, Renetta, what the hell is in your body that can literally detonate like micro nukes on aluminum spheres? Okay, so that literally, and these are some of the burn marks. Okay,
after he did this session with you. Yeah,
because this is what was hiding under my my skin. I mean, it's healed now, but this is what was hiding. So I wanted to give you guys, I wanted to give you guys that so you guys could kind of see, like, and I really
was it very painful?
No, I had no pain except when it started to the burns didn't hurt. Is when it started to heal. That's when I started to have pain. But the burn marks, it didn't hurt, which was really strange. It blew up the the aluminum spheres, like literally detonated, like cratered it. And that's what I was showing you. Sorry, that's what I was showing you in the video. But I really want you guys to see the creature.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I don't have access. So I mean, you can try sending an email to me.
Okay.
If you want to with the actual video itself, and not hosted.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just get the link.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Body scans. I can send you yeah.
All right. Well,
I'll send it to you now.
Okay. Well, how about we discuss? I mean, are you ready to move on?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of different areas we could take this. So I guess going back to my original question, what was taking place at this high school? It looks like you were I don't know if I guess you were physically teleporting there, but definitely your consciousness was going down there too. So why don't you describe what do you think actually happened after we did this session?
Well, here's what I learned. So I had a friend, and this guy was just really, really helpful because he was high level, worked very high level with the Pentagon and understood the real government. And he was saying to me, he said, Renetta, that's where they were taking you. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, taking me where? I was like, there's no way they could have taken me out of the school because too many people knew me. So he started to, I'll tell you a story. He started to decode what was on the cube because he's like, listen, I'm a cryptographer, not me, him. He goes, I'm a cryptographer. I know what these things mean. And he said, look, these are NSA codes. And he said, not all of them are NSA codes. Some of them are higher than the NSA.
Are we talking about the face that we just looked at?
On the face. Okay. Yeah. There are alphanumeric codes all over that black cube. And those are NSA codes for tracking bloodlines. Okay? However, they did it in such a way that to the simple person, it just looks like, oh, these are dates from the civil rights movement, right? So I had to go do some digging, and I discovered that a certain very powerful Jewish bloodline funded my high school, okay? And the name starts with an R, the Red Shield, right? And they were using my high school, exactly. They were using my high school to find the genetics, certain genetics of Black children, in Black children. Okay. And I know this is not about Black people. I'm just saying what they use my high school for in the early days. Right. So and if you look at my high school, you will see that my high school is designed after the NSA facility. And it's also designed after the Black cube in Mecca.
Like Fort Meade, Maryland. This,
like
a microchip.
Yeah. It looks exactly like the NSA headquarters. And it looks exactly like the Black cube in Mecca. Right. And there's a Black cube on 66th Street. Now, here is where it gets really crazy. If you follow 66th Street, heading west, you're going to come upon Jeffrey Epstein's mansion on 66th Street on the east side. If you keep heading west, you're going to leave the United States and you're going to cross the Atlantic Ocean. Do you know where that Black cube stops if you keep a trajectory all across the equator? Well, not the equator, but a horizontal trajectory. You're going to land in Egypt. Okay?
What? From 66th
From
Street?
66th Street.
Okay, let me just do this. Instead of telling you, we're going to show you.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are, 66th Street. That's where it is.
Yeah.
The Big Apple.
66th
Okay.
Street. Yep.
So what direction we do? So
okay, you're gonna have to head west, but you're gonna have to make sure that New York is aligned properly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna be heading. No, that's
direction like
no. You're gonna be heading due west, so not south. Sorry, due east. I'm sorry, due east.
Yeah,
due east.
Yeah. I mean, like that way.
East. Yeah, due east. Keep zooming out.
Yeah. So definitely the planet isn't flat. So
exactly. Due east. Keep going.
Okay, I'm keep going. I'm going. But you know, it's like, I mean, New York is
there you go.
The same latitude as like Portugal or so on.
No. You're too high. Stop. Turn to Africa. Turn. Keep turning left. Yep. Keep turning. Egypt. Literally where the Nile ends. That's where you stop.
Okay.
66th Street. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I can send you a photo.
And also, yeah, I noticed Rockefeller University. Sorry.
Exactly.
There's probably tunnels with maybe strides going all around this area.
And my high school was 66th Street West. Jeffrey Epstein's mansion was 66th Street East.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you're going east, you're going to cross Jeffrey Epstein's mansion.
Somewhere over here, east side of the park.
No, my high school, that's west. Okay, it's on the east side of the park. Is that upside down?
No, it's arranged. It says it's arranged north.
Oh, you're on the east side. You're at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion.
Oh, okay.
You're already there.
Okay.
I'm 66 West.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So you're there. You're there.
Let's go ahead and just close that. Okay. All right. So,
here's what I think was going on. Now, it took me years to figure this out, and it took a trip to Trinidad, and I literally had to run out of the United States. And I'm not going to go into that, but I ended up in Trinidad, and I was working for this NGO. So I used to walk to work because I like walking, and I walk back. So I decided to take, I think it's called the Eastern Main Road, where that substation is. Right? And one day, meanwhile, I have active network cybernetics in my body, right? So one day I'm walking down this Eastern Main Road, and the people usually don't walk down this road because it's like gang wars and stuff like that. But I decided to walk down the street, and I'm passing by this power station. As I get in front of the power station, I literally, and it was weird because it was like a telepathic voice, and the voice began to tell me there is gold here and there are pyramids here. And I looked around, and I'm like, but there's nobody here. Like, am I going crazy? But then again, I grew up in the Caribbean, and these things are not really crazy. As I looked around, I realized that it was connecting to the chip, I don't have chips, but the cybernetics in my body was connecting to the electrical substation. And I said, oh my God, this thing is coming from the substation. This is really insane. But here's the crazy part. When I left that area, it was as if I couldn't shake, I can't explain it. I could not shake this energy field telling me that the country has pyramids and the country has gold. I couldn't shake it. So I tried to put it off. And then I said, okay, let me go do this, walk down the street again. And the same thing happened.
It's right in this area that we're looking at.
Yeah, it's in that area. I'm trying to, if you zoom in, I can tell you exactly where it is.
Okay. I mean, here's Eastern Main Road.
Yeah, right there. Okay. Go left. Stop.
There's this industrial area.
I think that's where it is.
Near this industrial area. There's a port here. So I can just go down to Street View.
Okay.
See what Trinidad is here.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're gonna have to zoom back out. I picked the wrong area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of difficult to find. It's somewhere around here. Okay, move down.
Go down.
Move to the right. Okay, move to the right. Move to the right. Sorry, left. I'm sorry. Left.
It's probably over here. This is where
somewhere around there.
Because I kind of remember this.
Yeah, it's somewhere around there. You can't. No. Okay, it's not far from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That is a distillery, but it's not there.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, so this is the crazy thing. So I couldn't shake this, right? I couldn't shake this for like a week. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, something is communicating with me that there's gold here. So anyway, long story short is I began to do some research, and I discovered that the northern range in Trinidad is literally where the Andes Mountains end. Okay, that northern range ends on the eastern coast of Trinidad in Toco. That northern range of the Andes Mountain is the gold region in South America. And Trinidad is literally, right? Trinidad broke off. It's more South American than it is Caribbean, right? Okay, so look at this. So not only that, I also discovered that there are 3 pyramids in this area. Okay, you can see them clear as day. 3 pyramids in this area, one of which is in Scotland Bay. The next one is in Mahot Bay. And then the other 2 is in what you call Monos and Huevos, those 2 islands off the coast of Trinidad. So when I got back to the United States, I said, okay, there's something here. And that's when it hit me. Now, if you go to my high school, right? And I'm going to teach you guys something. If you go to my high school, on the block where my high school is, there's only 2 buildings, right? My high school in the front and Con Edison Electrical Power Station at the back. Now, this was there at my high school all these years. That power station was there for many years. Now, get this. When I went to Trinidad in 2015, years later, it was near a power station that I had this experience that there was gold in Trinidad and there were pyramids. So what does that tell you? They are looking for something when they put technology in people's bodies. And I believe that part of the reason why they put technology in people's bodies is because they know that some of these ancient civilizations, there is some sort of connection to finding these civilizations. You're going in the wrong direction. You got to go down. You were going right the first time. Yeah, down that way. Keep going down. Down. Yep, that's it. That's Con Edison. Okay. Now, did you guys see that connection? So power stations plus cybernetics opens portals. Power station, cybernetics opens portals. But I think
there's a great
that
comment
it has to do. Say that again?
Yeah, ley lines.
Precisely, right? And I think they need certain DNA. Because the people living there are not complaining that something's telling them there's gold there. I was. Now let's get started. So that happened in 2015. So fast forward to today. Today's topic is the diplomatic mission to El Dorado, right? And I know a lot of people have their religious views about every civilization prior to the flood. Okay, I am not going to dispute if the flood happened. I know it happened. The flood is real. The Native Americans have their stories about the flood. They don't call him Noah. The people in Asia, they have stories about the flood. Okay, the people in Africa, the tribes in Africa, they have 7 floods. So the flood did happen. What I do not, in my personal opinion, I do not believe that my savior is coming from a person who's Jewish. That is not me. Okay, and I also believe we're going to save ourselves. But that's neither here nor there. So the flood did happen. Here is where I have a problem with the flood. The problem with the current narrative about the flood. The current religious perspective about the flood is that all the civilizations prior to the flood were Nephilim eating humans. No, I don't think so. I do not believe all the civilizations on Earth were violent, warlike civilizations and they were busy eating people. These were very advanced civilizations.
And we even encountered ISIS, and one of the questions was to her, is she Anunnaki? And she got really offended by that because she says she predates. There's a lot of civilizations that predates the Anunnaki, which people don't realize.
He's absolutely right.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Well, and even King Oban was saying that there's a lot of antediluvial civilizations, pre-flood civilizations here on this planet that the Vatican, the Bible and the Vatican tried to suppress, pretend like they don't exist, and they projected the populations of the planet that I guess we're the only ones here, but they want us to know that they're here and that they didn't get destroyed. So
yeah, there was civilizations before the Anunnaki, and from what I was told, again, I can't prove this, but there are writings to prove this. Like, for example, when we encountered Isis on our first astral travel, Isis told James. Funny enough, James is JR and I'm RJ. Very interesting. Very, very interesting, right? Okay, so watch this. So Isis told James, in fact, no, I am not Anunnaki. I predate Anunnaki. And she said that she was the creator of the maternal lines, meaning the lines that created the women, meaning that women, in her eyes, had their own creator. And to me, it would make sense. And the males had their own creator. To me, that would make sense. So the question was asked, you do understand the kind of worship that they worship you above ground in these secret societies. And one of the things that she told me was that you cannot believe anything they tell you on the surface of the earth. Do you understand that the surface of the earth is totally controlled by the most corrupt entities? And to me, that makes sense. Now, many people would say the worship of Isis is demonic because Isis worship requires sacrifice and killing and rituals and blood drinking and drinking menstrual blood. But here's my argument. My argument is, okay, so you get to the Old Testament. Yahweh gave these Israelites 10 commandments. One of the commandments was, don't kill. Did the people listen? The answer is no. Don't steal. Did the people listen? In fact, they were killing and lying and cheating in the name of the Old Testament God. So with that said, it makes sense to me when Isis said, listen, I predate the Anunnaki in that I am of the maternal lines. We are the lines that created the women, and these lines were abolished from the earth. And they're saying that it was abolished because Isis worship was corrupt. Yes, but have you seen the last 2,000 years of what they were doing in the name of Christianity, in the name of Jesus? So are you going to blame Jesus for 400 years of slavery? They used Jesus to enslave people. Are you going to blame Jesus for exterminating the Native Americans? That's how America was colonized, under the banner of Jesus. Are you going to blame Jesus for the actions of men? No. You blame men for the actions of men. And you need to understand that men and evil entities use God to justify their corrupt behavior.
And Renetta, my family, a lot of them are very Christian, so they would probably respond to you as, "Oh, surely God would never allow this to take place. I mean, the Bible is supposedly God's holy work, So why would God allow this to happen? How would you respond to that?"
Okay, so here's the thing. I am not religious in any way. I try to use common sense, and I practice, me personally, I practice self-respect and restraint. Like, I follow very strict laws. Do not do evil to someone. However, I have laws of justice as well. Laws of justice is, if you violate me, I have a right to get justice. But I will not violate you first. Now, the Christians, or religious people in general, would argue and say, okay, well, God would not allow that. Okay, here is my argument. Is it God allowing it, or is it people doing it because they can get away with it? Okay, a person steals because they believe they can get away with it. If a person knows that they're not going to get away with it, they're not going to do it. You see, this is the problem I have with the way in which they rewrote the Bible to fool people and tell people that they're going to get justice when Jesus comes back. Now, how are you dealing with the person's immediate pain and hurt today? No, if you do wrong today, justice should be executed today because the wrong was done today, not 10,000 years in the future. You understand? So what I think is going on this planet is that people and entities are not being held accountable for their corrupt behavior. And this is why I believe that the human race's first savior is the human race, not a deity. Our savior, the people who's going to save the human race, is us. And we're going to continue being raped, abused, beaten, injected, you name it. We're going to continue. We are a very abused race. And I think it's going to slavery, and I think it's going to continue because we haven't learned the lesson. Our salvation comes from us first. That's what I think.
I thought you were going to say within, but
yeah, within. Okay, yeah.
So Jesus didn't die for our sins. He died because humanity sinned against him.
Okay, listen.
Would you agree with that?
If I were to shoot you, did Jesus get killed?
I don't know. Would you shoot me? I mean, they tried to actually go. They went back to try to kill him from Montauk, but.
No, seriously. Okay, let's say I have a gun. Hypothetically, so the AI doesn't go crazy. Hypothetically, I have a gun. I shoot you. Who's getting hurt? Jesus or you?
I guess I would be getting hurt.
Okay, you would get hurt. So how did I sin against Jesus when I shot you? I sinned against you.
Yeah, okay.
Because I committed the crime against you. That is what I mean when I say the way in which they rewrote these books is to absolve the criminals of accountability.
Makes sense.
You following?
Well, Renetta, we got lots to discuss. How about we go? Let's just quickly finish the ISIS stuff because there's a few more points. We may need to just do a 2-part series in this, but
that's fine.
So let's see here. So ISIS was telling you we monitor all our children and that you're part of their bloodline. This group of ancient ones, the maternal ones, I guess they refer themselves as. Yeah,
and I don't think I would be the only one. I would think that women descend from the ISIS bloodline. That's what I'm thinking. But I think she probably have direct relatives because she said we are from the maternal lines, the lines that created the women. And she said this is what they wanted to hide from women. Now, let me give women an example because they're going to bash me, the Christians. Women, when you go through a menstrual cycle, can you have a conversation with a man about your menstrual cycle? No, you can't. You can only, well, let me take that back. Today men are having babies. Anyway, no, I'm sorry. No, you can't. Why? Because you're a woman. Now, what is that? What am I trying to say? It means that there was something present during creation that was feminine that created women. I'm not a man. Men, when you're going through an erection, can you have a conversation with me except to have sex? No, I'm not a man. I don't know what an erection is. I'm sorry. But the point is this. Men were created in the image of a male creator, women, female. The reason why women are crazy, and I'm not talking about female worship. The reason why women are crazy is because women do not have an archetype, a feminine archetype that they can look to and point to and say, this is where we descend from. No male god is going to understand what it's like being a woman. And no female deity is going to understand what it's like being a man. That's the point. Go ahead.
All right. So from here, it looks like you went into some kind of some underwater situation where this water is connected to the Akashic, almost like a library. But I don't know if you want to describe any of this realm that you were in.
Okay, so what we did is we did a regression. James assisted me in a regression inside of my high school to figure out what was going on in my high school that I disappeared during lunchtime for 3 years. And that's when I discovered there was some kind of connection between there's a direct portal in my high school being generated by the substation behind my high school. and the technology in my body allowed me to go deep under the earth, under 66th Street. When we got to the bottom of 66th Street, I was literally pushed by water into the Atlantic. Okay, and I saw a massive gate. From there, I went into the gate. And by the way, in a water body, people, we're talking about life before the flood. Okay, so you might have to expand your brain a little bit. Life before the flood, Seagate, right? And life before the flood, the human being had way more abilities. What does that mean? Humans today use 10 to 12% of their brain. Pre-flood, I believe it was 100. It was shut down. Now, if we're operating at 50% of our brain, what would a human being be capable of? And that was something I experienced. When I entered my water body, I literally changed shape 4 times. And this was to travel under and to get to Atlantis. Okay? Now, many of you will think this is crazy, but I'm telling you, no, you can travel to these civilizations. One of the scans that was done on my left ankle, and I can prove it to you, a signal came off of my left ankle at I think it was 130 something, 134 or 334 microwatts per square centimeter. The scientist who conducted this scan said, oh my God, the only place that you can hear this, the only place that you can get this signal is the bottom of the Mariana Trench. What is that signal doing in her ankle? The second other place that signal could be heard was deep space. Okay? I have the evidence. I know what I'm talking about, right? So I want to tell you, we're doing Atlantis now before we get to El Dorado. Okay? Now, when you go down,
Yoguni.
Oh, you want to do Yanaguni?
But wasn't all these water kingdoms related to each other because there's Lemuria?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But remember when?
Because Yoguni predates looks like even Lemuria. I mean, this and for people who don't know, Yoguni is located. It's an island off the coast of Japan, like the tip of it. But that whole area of China used to stretch all the way into the ocean, all the way over to Japan. But a lot of it fell into the sea. And those civilizations, what they did is some of them went to a portal like Lemuria, but Atlantis, they built giant domes under the ocean and probably in some kind of interdimensional bubble where it's actually bigger inside the dome than outside. And by the way, there's 300 million people, Atlanteans, at the bottom of the ocean right now, and they don't appreciate the Navy trying to send missiles down into their domes. But and Yoguni is underground somewhere. But why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So what I'd like to tell people today is, people, listen, I am not leading you in a path of demons to be demon possessed. I am not demon possessed. Okay. And I would not lead you in a path to harm your spirit. That is not how I operate. What I'm trying to show you is that there was a force that came to this planet and it literally shut down 90% of the human being's ability.
That also shut our age too. I mean, humans lived about 1,000 years before the flood.
Absolutely.
And in Atlantis, and by the way, the Atlanteans live up to 100,000 years.
Right.
They're
absolutely.
About 9 foot tall.
Absolutely. So something came and shut down human beings' abilities by shutting down 90% of their brain capacity.
We haven't explored it, but it has come up. It looks like it was some kind of virus that was released by the custodians. And they're another group of jerks that basically caused the resets, sort of like the reason why we don't hear about Tartaria, and the history books. But we can maybe go into that more in another episode, more in depth.
Yeah, absolutely.
On it, if you guys want that.
What I'm trying to say to you is this, okay? And I may not get everything right, but one thing I would not do is I would not be deceived, and I would not lead the human being down a path to destruction. They are trying to exterminate the people on Earth, but there is something spiritually that is happening on a parallel level, and you have to be able to see this. What is happening is that the ancient abilities that humans had, okay, during Atlantis, Lemuria, Yonaguni, El Dorado, Aztec, Maya, and that is before the arrival of the Dracos, because the Dracos are the ones that brought that blood sacrifice, which is the reason why the planet had to be sunk, or flooded, better yet, flooded. Human beings, those abilities are coming online. Here is the problem. Whenever a species, and this is what is encoded into the genetics of a species, whenever a species begins to undergo extinction, what happens is that latent DNA becomes active. Does anyone understand? Latent abilities activate. Why? Survival, people. Survival. That tells you that no species should be exterminated because that survival mechanism would not go active. We are seeing this with the babies born during this pandemic. The babies are coming out faster, stronger, smarter, with abilities that are above and beyond the normal abilities for children. Why? Because the species, there's a tether that you can't see that's spiritual. The species know there is something trying to bring it into extinction. So for people saying it's all demonic, then this conversation may not be for you. But for those who are willing to listen and understand what I'm trying to tell them, then you may learn something and you may glean something. I am not telling you let any entity enter your body. I'm not telling you, give me money. I am not telling you, go do rituals. Those things are lawless. What I'm saying to you is this: because we are undergoing extinction, those 90% of the brain that was dormant, 90% of the DNA that was asleep, it is waking up. Now, here's the crazy part about when it wakes up. When it wakes up, there is a tether connected to these ancient civilizations. And those civilizations are tethered to the dormant DNA. Does anyone understand what I'm trying to show you?
Right. And King Oban wanted you to be the ambassador, and not really me, for us to share it, because he said that I was connected to the Aryans and the NAZI aspect, which, by the way, I'm not racist at all. I even have friends that are Jewish, so I don't care. I mean, we were actually looking at in this underwater kingdom that there was some kind of library, and you were able to pull up records. Yes. And I just tested you out just to say, well, could you look up this thing called Project Name Recovery? Because I knew I was in it and I didn't have details. And he said that it was connected to this movie from Boys from Brazil. Yeah. Some guy named Gordon or something. It was my father and connected all that. But also ISIS shared a symbol. And you drew it out for me, and I've got this translation of what it means. How about I go ahead and just share that?
Yeah. And I'm going to get to the ISIS, the underwater kingdom, what the Africans call the marine kingdom. Okay, so that symbol. So James was testing me to see if ISIS gave me access to what the Africans call the marine kingdom and what the Europeans call Atlantis. The marine kingdom and Atlantis is the same kingdom. People, it is real. The beings there exist. Some are evil, some are good. The ruler of Atlantis is a woman. Okay, Atlantis was not destroyed. They sank themselves. Because from what I got, they sank themselves because of a battle with the Dracos. Okay? So
they,
yeah.
They built a dome and then sank themselves. So, and the dome, like I said, okay. And there's multiple domes down there, by the way. And the name I called Ashland. I don't know, but we maybe should follow up on that because we haven't explored the Atlantis stuff or the Lemuria and just
we went to the library. I have to tell them about the library.
And it's like an akasha of the planet. The water carries.
Yeah, let me explain it. So they know. So down there, when you get to Atlantis, okay, you have to pass ISIS. ISIS has to give you clearance. She said, they call me ISIS on the surface. When she gives you clearance, you go down again. Your form changes. So your human body is this physical body, okay? But your water body is a totally different body, okay? So you literally changing forms to get to where the library is, okay? Down there, I saw a technology that was a living library. It was living water, okay? Meaning that the water stored information. The information is everything that ever happened on Earth, period. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what's interesting. The regular seawater, the texture of regular seawater is different from the texture of this living library. The living library is literally like a gel. Okay, the water down there where the library is a gel. And when you're standing in front of it, it is communicating with you in your brain. You don't speak. Okay? No, that's Lemuria. You don't speak. Okay? There's no words in the mouth. So you have to be careful what you think, because whatever you think, the library will pull it up on the screen. So the screen is like a huge wall. It's a gel, and it's constantly showing you. It's like this. On the screen, images of what occurred on this planet. You can go as far back as you want because it literally stored everything. Okay, so that's one of the technologies that's down there in Atlantis. The other technology that's down there is a kind of staff that I saw ISIS use. When ISIS made that symbol for James, she said, give James this symbol to let him know, because she knew James didn't believe. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know.
By the light of the moon, we travel the stars, according to David Lotherington is how he translated it. But
right.
It's a quantum language, so it can be interpreted many ways.
Right. So she said, I saw her point a staff, okay? And the staff, at the head of the staff was a type of crystal. And what came out of the crystal was a laser. And she literally etched it on the wall. And she said to me telepathically, give James this symbol. Tell him I said, thank you. He will know what it means. Now, I drew that symbol and I kept drawing it because I'm like, I don't know what this means. So I sent that symbol to James. And lo and behold, that's James's signature. That's a symbol James uses. I didn't know that. Is that correct, James?
I mean, I could probably put it in my signature somewhere. Yeah, well, I guess we should probably do some more work on this to clarify, because we were spending so much time talking to King Oban, we didn't really go back, but we were just giving you like a brief summary. So
yeah,
I think
let me put it this way. So James sends me his AI art, and he signs his AI art, and I literally almost fell off the chair because I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, James, it's the exact same symbol. He's being modest. No, like seriously. He's being modest.
I don't remember which one.
What he uses.
Do you? What did I text it to you? Because otherwise,
You emailed it to me.
Okay.
He signs his AI art with the exact same symbol. Like seriously, he's being modest. Okay, I'll leave him alone. Okay, so let's get to the real story. So she wanted to let me know. Look, ISIS is alive. ISIS is the queen of she's literally the queen of, at least in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, the kingdom is real, and they have the records of everything that happened on this planet, and it's stored in a library under the Atlantic. Now, here's what's funny. James told me that the US Navy has been trying to break the dome for Atlantis. Now, he didn't know that a NAZI scientist told me that the US Navy was at war with Atlantis. I said, oh my God, how does he know this? Unless it's real, right? So Atlantis does exist. And one of the things she wanted to tell me was they're going to be making themselves known, okay? Because they see what's taking over this planet, and they see the direction this planet is headed, okay? I'll leave that be. Now, let's get to El Dorado.
Hold a second. So there was an exchange program. I don't know if it was between the Navy, but certain aspects within the government with Atlantis. And what happened is the personnel down there were caught trying to collect genetic samples because they live 100,000 years. So they wanted to bring back the DNA and experiment with it. So when the Atlanteans, realized what they were up to, the program quickly ended. But so as far as this war is, I get rumors of people that they say, "Oh, I had a buddy that wasn't. I was in the Navy, but I had a friend who was also in the Navy. I mean, and they were the ones that were." So this is rumors that come back and forth.
Those are rumors because I know someone who helped me to understand what was inside of me, and it's not rumors, James. It's real. And they told me. And this person was Native American. This person was Native American and Irish, I think. Native American and Irish. No, 100% Native American and Irish or Scottish. And he had to get into Atlantis. The key is your DNA. Okay. And he told me, because he took one of the US presidents there, he told me how they got in. I just can't disclose it here. Now, unbeknownst to him, is that I was friends with African people from West Africa. And if you go to West Africa, they venerate the Marine Kingdom, what you call Atlantis. And they go there and they live there. There are people that go there and live there for 6 months. So no, this is not fake. It is not a joke. And it's not like, made up woo-woo. You go to West Africa, they have festivals to the Queen of Atlantis. Her name in West Africa is Yemanja or Yemoya. That is the queen. Okay. So no, it's not fake. I know people that went there. So no, it's real. It's a real place. It exists. Now, the story about the genetic stealing of genetics, that's also very real too, because the key to get into Atlantis is genetics. Like they don't give you a key in a door. The key is stored in your DNA. So yeah, I could believe that. But let's get to the diplomatic mission to El Dorado. And because I want to tell people about some of the technologies, because some of you here are scientists, okay? And I've been doing a little bit of research about what King Oban said. And I'm looking at the research like, this man, I really, this is true. So let's get to the diplomatic mission for Atlantis. Do you have anything to say, James?
I was just trying to locate the UN official that shapeshifted. We'll probably have to save the story of Peter Nygaard for another time. But because that's really
that's the US ambassador to the UN. She had a crown too.
Right.
Yeah, U.S. ambassador to the UN.
Okay, well, let's just go to the. Oh, here I got the notes here for the El Dorado. So I guess we can just start off from the beginning.
Sure.
So this all just tied back to that experience when you were younger and you felt like you were taken away, but I guess you didn't have the memory of it, right? So we went back to explore what happened, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not. It's not really the memory. It's like you felt like there was something there. So we went back to this spot and the substation on Main Road, Eastern Main Road. I think you said.
Yeah.
Okay. This portal and all right. So when you show up in the portal, it looks like they were already there. There was two. Yeah. I think you said there was one person or two people were waiting.
I think it was one diplomat that came to meet us. Like they were waiting.
Yeah. So okay. So I guess we go through this portal, and apparently they let me come through too.
Yeah. Can I clarify something before you go on? Okay. James really thinks because I said to him 1,000 times, James, it's not your skin color. So James really believes that his skin color is not letting him get into these places. And they told me 1,000 times, they do not have a system where they judge people on their skin color. They said, James has too many attachments. They called it hooks. Okay, literally hooks, like hooks. James has too many attachments or hooks to NAZIs and other nefarious forces that they have been dealing with that have been trying to take them over. And they didn't want James to get manipulated. So they said, listen, yes, he can represent. However, it has to be like this. You have to do it together. Does it make sense? So James, again, it's not your color. Color is an earth-based reptilian garbage nonsense foolishness that I almost fell for too. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. King Oban, I think he probably spent half his time complaining about the Vatican. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that just a bit, but we just start with the portal itself. What did the portal look like? Was it like white and then turn pitch black or colors or?
Oh no, when you enter the portal, okay, it's jet black. You can't see anything. And then all of a sudden, it's like a break, like it starts breaking like this. And then in front of you, you start seeing like glitter. Okay. And then when your eyes begin to fixate on what you're seeing, you're in a massive city and it's pure gold everywhere. The gold that literally looks like the sun. Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. We'll go. All right. We meet this guy. They're about 9 foot tall.
Yeah.
And they look, I guess I would say, not just really Egyptian, but like a really darker skin than the average person you would see in that part of the world.
No, he was an Egyptian. He was just thin and tall.
Okay. Because they're not really eating food. They eat gold or drink. I guess drink is gold, liquid gold.
I don't know what their food habits were. But what we do for life and for spirituality, it was gold. For life, spirituality, and health, it was gold.
Well, they probably don't have hydroponics. Do they have hydroponics?
Remember, we didn't go to see like what their food was like. What we went to see was like some of the technology they used to build the city. We were told about their spirituality because they wanted to emphasize their spirituality, because what's going on above the earth is affecting their spirituality where they are because of what they call the wave. They don't go by numbers, they go by a wavelength. So for them, it wasn't about just food, how this is how we eat, this is how we dress. It wasn't cultural, it was more spiritual. Well, and they wanted to extend that level of spirituality to the human.
Renette, let's go into that just a bit. Let's just start off here first, because we so this civilization seems to be connected to civilizations all over the world that are pre-flood, antediluvial. Egypt, Cappadocia, and Turkey, Baghetti Mountains, the Himalayas, and Russia. And by the way, the war. What you're being told about the war in the Ukraine is not what it's apparently you want to explain it.
So what they said to me was that under the eastern part of Ukraine, actually they showed me, they said there are subterranean cities that go all the way up into the heartland, literally, I think all the way up into the capital of Russia, Moscow. And they said this is the reason why there's a war. So they're not telling you the truth. They said the war in Ukraine is really an underground war. And, the entities that are after them is the same entities that are trying to get to Russia. By the way, I went to go do some research. Do you want to know where the largest gold mine is in Europe? Gold mine, because we're talking about the Gold Kingdom. Take a wild guess, anyone.
Maybe it's in the Ukraine.
It's in the Ukraine.
Wow, I would never.
The largest gold mine in Europe is in Ukraine. That told me that we did encounter King Oban, and that's what it was about.
That's one of their satellite colonies.
Yeah, the largest gold mine. It's the largest gold mine in Europe. Yeah, and I think that's what they're fighting over.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's see here. So, all right, the joke called the flood.
Yeah. Okay, so they thought it was hilarious that, the Bible, and they blamed the Vatican for this. They thought it was hilarious that the Vatican convinced Christians that the flood was used to destroy them. And they laughed. They said, we're not destroyed, we're still here. How could you destroy everything? They said, how can you destroy a fish? How can you drown a fish? We're still here. So they thought that the whole concept of the flood being used to destroy them was an absolute joke because they're like, we're still here.
Right, I got you. Okay, so they said their civilization is 1.2 million years old, and they also can live that long. So, or at least live 1 million years.
Yeah, they live 1 million years because they use what they called the living gold. Okay, so this is something I want you guys to think about, because I began to think about why did NATO bomb Libya? Libya had two things. Libya had gold and Libya had water. It hit me. Hold on. But the Chinese collect gold, right? India collects vast amount of gold. Okay, India has the Himalayas and they have monsoon. Why would you bomb Libya for gold and water? So some would argue that they bombed Libya for gold because he wanted a gold-backed currency. Well, the Chinese and the BRICS were working on a gold-backed currency. No, it dawned on me. There is water, and then there is living water. Where are the Christians in the group? There is gold, and then there's living gold. What Gaddafi tapped into was not water. Gaddafi tapped into living water. There is a big difference between water and living water. What Gaddafi was mining in the ancient gold mines of Libya was not gold, it was living gold. And that's the reason why there was a response from NATO. For people who think that living water doesn't exist, why did Jesus say, out of their bellies will flow living water? For people who think that gold, living gold, doesn't exist, why does it say that the streets of heaven was paved with gold? How do you pave with gold unless it has some sort of property that allows you to do it? Think about what I'm saying.
So the common gold that we see like in gold bars and bullion, that is a side product of the actual living gold.
Yes, that's a derivative of the actual living gold.
King Oban was discussing, it wasn't just the gold kingdoms, there's also the oil kingdoms like black goo.
Yes.
Oil is a side product of black goo, and that is another kingdom itself.
Yes, exactly. So example, they lied to us, once again, the abused human race. They lied to us and they tell us, oh, oil comes from dinosaurs. What? Oil does not come from dinosaurs. Where does oil come from then? It comes from that, what they call the queen, the black queen, what you call the black goo. It is a living sentient, and it produces, what does it produce? It produces all the oil on earth. Like the living gold produces all the gold on earth.
And the Black Queen was an actual person or entity, I wouldn't call it person, but that was captured in the Falkland Island War back in the early 80s. And she was taken to she was split into the research. I guess part of it went to the Vatican.
CERN.
CERN.
Yeah, that's what I think they're using to open the portals.
And the other part was taken to I think it's in the notes. We'll go into that just a bit.
Chile, a research island off the coast of Chile.
Yeah, King Oban wants the Vatican to release her.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
okay, so what I think King Oban was trying to communicate was this, and I'm not claiming to speak for him, but because of telepathy, okay, the telepathic communication, you don't just hear words, you hear intent when you're communicating telepathically. King Oban was saying that the Vatican needs to return the Black Queen, which is what you call the Black Goo, because they're torturing her to find out the secrets of how this planet works. Okay, it is the lifeblood of the earth, exactly. And she's being tortured. Now, they broke her apart in two, obviously, to weaken her, right? Divide and conquer, right? They broke her apart and they sent one to CERN with that Hadron Collider. And they sent now, and they're doing research in Chile on the other part, right? Why are they doing this? They're doing this because within her, and this is the key I'm trying to show you, I'm not telling anyone to worship your DNA. I am not telling anyone to worship the neurons in their brains. I am not telling you to worship any female deity. Worship what you want. But what I'm trying to tell you is that what we're told about this planet and the elements of this planet is not true. Okay, oil is a child, a byproduct of the Black Goo. The Black Goo is a living, sentient being. Gold is a byproduct. The gold that is surface gold, okay, is a byproduct of the living gold. The water that we're told is just water that you drink, that you bathe with. No, real water is living. Not only are these things alive, these things are literal storehouses of information as to the knowledge of what took place on this planet. Now, here is what I went to research yesterday, because King Oban spoke about a physics concept, his wave, because King Oban made it very clear. The reason why mathematics, and I'm not against mathematics or mathematicians, this is what he said. He said, listen, in our kingdom, we do not go by numbers. He said numbers was given to the human race to limit their potential. So their system is not a system based on numbers, because he said numbers are limiting. Now, the average mathematician would say, no, there's infinity. How is it limiting? He said, because numbers is like a spell that's used to restrict. He said, in particular, it's used to restrict life of a being. He said, in their kingdom, they don't use numbers. They go by what James gave a name, the grand wave. Okay, a grand wave. Okay, they live according to something that they call a grand wave. This wave is eternal. Within this wave is what you humans, me humans, constitute as time. Data points on a wave, okay? Literal data points on a wave that you constitute as time, like seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks. They don't break it down in numbers. They go by the data sets on the wave. Within this wave, okay, we're talking physics and math. Okay, within this wave, in the data points are what you call history. Now, if you take a human and you put them in the wave in a data point, they're restricted to living the size of that data point. Okay, whatever that data point is, they're restricted to the duration of that data point. But if the human being was separated from numbers and their whole spirit was built into the wave, then you go from living 70 years to literally living millions of years. Because now you're not restricted by one single data point in the wave. No, you are literally within the actual wave.
So
does that make sense?
If we didn't have numbers and actual chronological order of time, then we wouldn't believe that we're aging, and therefore we would just keep living.
No, I think it's a little bit deeper than that. It means that I think what he's trying to say is, if we weren't restricted to numbers, you're right on that. If we weren't restricted to numbers, then we would not be living to 80, 100 years. If we were to live according to the wavelength of what governs the planet, of what governs the universe, then there's nothing capping how long we can live. You see? Because now your whole spirit is moving with a wave. The wave is infinity. But if you're living according to numbers, then you're just a data set on that wave.
So the data sets on the wave. So so what they were saying is that they can go back in time and change, because we were discussing about the burning of the Library of Alexandria. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hold on a second here. Okay. So there are two attacks. The main reason we wanted gone from the surface was to keep people enslaved. From I'm hiding the secrets of the grand wave. Okay, so
Right.
where a time is an actual wave that's constantly moving. In the grand wave, there are data points somewhere within these points that exists the library Alexandria. If
Right.
you're targeting a data point along this wave, the library exists eternally and cannot be removed. Okay, so at the peak, let's see here, meaning so you can target it a second time in order to clean up a mess. For example, the burning of the Alexandria Library of Alexandria. So
Right.
I think you were saying something along the lines of they went back again to burn.
Yeah.
So like
No, you were brought back.
Oh, you mean
Okay.
on talk?
Yeah, you were brought back the second time. The first time it was burned. Okay. So this would require that we change the way we think. Okay. So let me show you what I mean. Today, humans are operating, myself included, on 10%, 12% of our brains, right? This would require a complete cognitive overhaul. Get rid of numbers. So let's do this exercise right now. Get rid of numbers. No numbers, right? Okay, so we live in a world that is controlled by the wave that keeps the earth stable, right? There's a grand wave that keeps this earth in sync. That's the wave we're on, right? Now, that wave is billions of years old, but that's the wave they're on, no numbers, right? Within that wave that is keeping the earth stable, there are data points. One of the data points was the specific, in human terms, time when the Library of Alexandria existed, right? So we're in the data point on the wave. That's where we all are today. We're in the data point on the wave at the Library of Alexandria. Now, here's the thing about the wave. That data point will always be there. You can't get rid of it. So the Library of Alexandria will always be there, right? Now, someone comes along and burns the library down, right? Okay. It doesn't mean that the library doesn't exist, because it exists on the wave, what you call infinity, right? But there is a part in the data set where the library burned down. Now, because the Library of Alexandria is a data set on that wave, it cannot be erased. It can't be erased. So you could burn it down 100 times. It's never going to be erased. Let me give you an example of what we would call this. We would call this deja vu, right? Hey, I've been here before, but I haven't been here before. Why? Because exactly
your consciousness. Well, you said something lines here. The Anunnaki, what the physics of time was given to the humanity by the Anunnaki is garbage, according to Oban. So we have the Anunnaki to and then you also say something here about changes in the wave, the grand wave of war, for example, and bombs, fragments of the wave.
Right.
Why don't you talk about the compression of the wave and how it could possibly destroy the timeline?
Okay. So one of the things King Oban showed me in them tracking, they call us surface earth dwellers. So we who dwell on the surface, okay? One of the things that was disturbing King Oban, we're in El Dorado, which exists, that was bothering him, that was forcing him to disclose that this civilization of gold exists in Trinidad, right? He said, the reason why time is speeding up to you surface dwellers, okay? He said, every time you drop a bomb, and they know this, he said, every time you drop a bomb, every time you go to war, every time, because remember, we're not dealing with numbers. This is the problem he's saying with numbers. He said, it rips that wave, the data sets get ripped, fractured on the wave, okay? What it does, remember, grand wave, okay? I sent you the picture, the drawing of what the grand wave looks like. So that way we can give them a visual, right? Okay. So the data set gets ripped, okay? So it's getting torn, like fragmented, like little nano tears, micro tears. He said what that does in the grand wave is destabilize the wave. So a natural wave without bombs, a natural wave without genocide, a natural wave without cuckoo weather. Yeah, can you rotate it horizontal? Perfect, perfect. Okay, let's zoom in. Okay, so this is what King Oban showed me. This is the equivalent of mathematics and numbers to us. This is their mathematics, okay? The way he described it was a wave, okay? And this is the wave that controls practically this solar system. I don't know if it controls anywhere else. And I was thinking it was a sine wave, right? Okay, it kind of looks like one strand of DNA. You know something? So look at this. Now, if James were to zoom in, you would see that I drew little lines along that wave, right? Okay, so the little line in the waves is what they call the data sets. What is the data set? The data set is, for example, the time when James was born and the era in which James would live, right? Another data set would be a time when I was born. So this is their mathematics. They don't go by numbers, they go by a wave, right? Okay, so let's say in James's data set, right? That is the period of time in which James and his parents and his siblings are alive, right? That's a data set. Let's say they go into nuclear war or there's some big war around the time when James is alive. James's parents, James and his siblings, right? What happens to the grand wave, the whole wave, is that it begins to destabilize the wave. Now, the bigger the war, the bigger the tier in the data set. The data set is the time in which you live, right? Which causes the wave to wobble, right? Now, when the wave is wobbling, that's an unstable wave. Now, how does this affect a person on a numerical timeline? He said, in terms of numbers, when that wave that should be stable, all things constant, meaning let's say the wave, let me give you an example. Let's say the wave is going at 100 miles an hour, all things constant, and it's stable. A big war comes, let's say a World War III. Let's hope it doesn't happen. The data set, that is the time in which that war occurs, causes the wave to wobble. What happens? Time speeds up. Time speeds up, meaning that the time, instead of time being stable, and he said, this is the problem with numbers. When you live on a numerical based system, he said, it appears as if the time is beginning to speed up. He said, now here are some other things that's forcing the civilization of Atlantis, the civilization of Lemuria, and the civilization of El Dorado. This is why, because they're in communication with each other, they're saying that they may come above ground. Now, your Bible in Revelation tells you they're going to come above ground. You call them the beast out of the sea. So you've already been encoded to believe that they're evil. Okay, you've already been programmed to believe that these ancient kingdoms are evil. Okay, now watch this. Now, what he's saying, and I just don't agree that they're evil. Okay, so what he's saying is this, and I will get to your point, Russell. He's saying that on a numbers-based system, things that affect the stability of this wave is when there is a de-evolution of human consciousness, because human consciousness is interlinked with the planet. Okay, the two go together, right? The second thing is when there's an advancement of technology, okay, and the people have a de-evolution of consciousness. He said this is what causes the wave to wobble and time to speed up. He said the end result of an advanced technology and de-evolution of human consciousness, it literally comes to a conversion, meaning that the two of them meet at a point, they intersect, okay? De-evolution in human consciousness coupled with advanced technology, they literally are going to be pushing towards each other, an intersection. He said when that happens, he said what occurs is absolute destruction. And this is why he wants the world to know, listen, the actions above the earth is not just affecting the people on the surface of the earth. There are civilizations, ancient civilizations, that are being affected by people, entities under the earth.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. There's so many questions. I'm trying to figure out where to begin. So the time, what happens if the time wave actually collapses because of the compression ratio is too high? It just, I guess, splinters off. Or do we cease to exist?
Okay. Here's the thing. Remember, this is a grand wave. It can only be influenced, not collapse. So you're thinking about literally the frequencies that control planet Earth collapsing, and they can collapse. That's not the wave he's talking about. He's talking about a grand wave. What happens is that the data sets in that wave, things like war, de-evolution of consciousness, advancement of technologies, et cetera, on people who are ill-equipped to deal with those technologies, evil forces, will cause the wave to become more and more unstable. I did not see the wave collapse. If the wave collapsed, we don't have a solar system anymore.
Right.
That's what
and that's why they want to come out from underground to help wake up humanity. And there's also, here's a good question from Doug.
That's a great question.
Time Corp or Time Core.
But time is numbers.
Well, there's a group actually called Time Corp, and what was relayed to me is that there was experiments on time, and so now there's organizations put in place to regulate that. So, okay. So the other thing I want to mention is that humans are being subverted through AI, meaning on Wi-Fi we've got different type of frequencies that's constantly. So humans are in tune to radio frequencies, whereas what King Oban wants us to be more in tune to what.
Okay, this is a brilliant question. But before I answer this, let me go back to Doug. Doug, that was a really good question. I don't have the answer. As when we were there, we were doing more listening rather than asking questions. Okay, so what I can do is I can try to get the answer for you. From what I can tell you is I don't know. Okay, I don't know if they're controlling time. I don't think so. And I think they believe there's something superior to them. And we're going to get into some of their technologies. But this was a brilliant question you asked. So hopefully no one forgot the question. Do you mind asking that question again?
Well, humans are being tuned into digital frequencies, and they want us to get away from technology and to be tuned into what?
Okay, so King Oban said, look, he said, technology in his kingdom, well, hardware in his kingdom is inferior technology. And, in my head, I'm like, really? He said the reason why alien races, ET races, and other interdimensionals deal with hardware, which is technology, he said, is because of the loss of spirit. The loss of spirit. What does that mean? He said the more advanced a race is spiritually, the less they require technology. How so? Their technology is similar to literal their spirituality. What does that mean? It means that they use what is called tuning, fine tuning. Okay? Tuning is literally communicating with the elements, understanding the restrictions, the parameters, the sensitivities, the sensibilities of that element. What does that mean? I can look at James on the earth, and as an earth surface dweller who is highly programmed, would see James as a white male who was used in a nefarious program. They don't see like that. Their technology is not like that. When they use tuning, and I'm going to answer his question, I don't see James as a white male. I see James's emotions. I see James's spirituality. I see James's mind, the way he thinks. I see his skills. I see his abilities. I see his good side. I see his bad side. If I want to use technology to communicate with James on the surface, I pick up a cell phone and I call James. But in the kingdom of El Dorado, if I want to communicate with James, I have to tap into James's frequency. Knock, knock, knock. James, I'm tapping into that field around James, and I'm letting James know I don't violate him. I'm saying, James, this is Renetta. I would like to communicate with you. Okay? Now, he said, in their kingdom, they're a gold kingdom. Okay? They don't worship gold. Gold is the living gold that they use for sustenance, spirituality, and longevity. And I'm going to explain gold and what you call Jesus to the Christians, because there's some hardcore Christians here. Woo! Anyway, okay. So he said, look, he said that in his kingdom, the human body should have 1 gram of gold so that the gold can wake up the dormant parts of the brain that was shut down. However, humans are not operating, I think he called it 1 million micrograms, okay, on that, okay? They're not. He said, here is the reason why. And I'm going to show you something in physics that I discovered yesterday that shocked me. He said, the problem is that the tyrants, he called them the earth tyrants, that is our rulers. He said what they did is that they riddled the human body with aluminum. Okay? He said the human body should be operating on 1 million micrograms of gold. He said when that gold is in the body, it goes throughout the brain and wakes up the dormant parts of the brain. And people begin functioning on a higher spiritual level and a higher intellectual capacity, right? Okay, he said what they did is that they don't tell the humans they need gold. They riddle them with aluminum. Now, I want to show you something. I went to go research gold, and I came upon a physics article that I screenshotted. I should have sent James this article. And these are astrophysicists. Do you know that in the creation of a solar system, okay, when supernovas clash together, okay, they emit light, okay? Now, here's what happens. That light begins to fade. Do you know what's created as that light begins to fade? What they call the R process in physics, the heavy metals, gold. The physicists have discovered, and I hope you're sitting down, people, that gold is one of the elements used to create planets. Do you want to know when a star is dying? Do you want to know what light metal, well, I shouldn't say light metal, but metal is abundant when a star is dying? Do you want to know the number one metal? Aluminum. What is the number one metal found on surface soil, agricultural soil, in the brains of people and in their bodies? Aluminum. People, we are being brought to extinction. Do you understand what I'm trying to show you?
And a lot of these groups wanted to live underground because the electromagnetic instead, where, like, for instance, the reptilians were offered the jungle after the flood. Instead, they wanted to live underground, so that's why they're tall. Otherwise, they would, because a lot of these reptilians are about 7 to 9, well, 7, 8 foot tall. So they would have been the same height as us if they lived on the surface, but they wanted special powers and ability. You can go like that if you want.
Absolutely. So let me clarify that again, because I don't think you guys understand what I'm showing you. The astrophysicists discovered that in the creation of a solar system, you find gold. In the destruction of it, you find aluminum. Now apply that to planet Earth. Chemtrails. They are bombarding us with aluminum. Why?
And what about like Zachariah Stitchin has put out books about the Anunnaki supposedly were mining gold. Maybe it was actually living gold, because I'm sure they have replicator technology. They can just transmute it, but this particular type of living gold probably cannot be transmuted, I'm guessing. And
I don't think, I'm not sure.
okay.
I probably have to go back. Remember, we didn't get to ask him questions. We were basically listening. So I don't even want to pretend like I know. No.
Okay.
But that's a good point. But here's the thing. With Zachariah Sitchin, he said, what were they using the gold for? To rebuild their atmosphere, which tells me something. If the atmosphere was dying, it probably had too much aluminum, because aluminum is the most abundant metal found when a planet or a sun goes into decay. Gold is what gives it life and creates planets and solar systems.
So on one hand, we got chemtrails, which are have a large amounts of aluminum in it. But then on the other hand, we have gold, which apparently is it's not a rare mineral, but the elite like to hoard it, because especially the living gold, because it has a certain vibration, and it's helping raise their dynasties or their family, their bloodline, to maintain their power over the public. But this inequity on the planet is almost like, to Mother Earth, Gaia, or whatever you want to call it, is like it's just disgusting to her, and she wants to reset. That's why we're gonna have Nassar and the Great Reset. Well, not reset, but
that's a great point. That's a great point. And watch this. What did King Oban say about the gold? Why is it that the rulers, the less than 1%, the less than 0.00001%, why are they always hoarding gold? Because King Oban told us this is how you live for millions of years.
And even like the Dragon Society, I don't know which color Dragon Society, but there was a report that underneath Hong Kong Airport is the most secure location on the planet. Well, to them, I guess one is the most secure. But there's a dome under there where they're storing huge amounts of gold. But this gold it's related all the way back to King Solomon's gold. It's a different type of gold that has some kind of higher energetic to it. That's a
living gold.
Yeah, that it has effects. So yeah, like I said, living gold. And so that's what I guess Sir Walter Raleigh, and then was looking for, and then later on the Ananabra through the ACIs, and then of course the Vatican. But you were even saying, I don't know if you want to discuss that right now, but the Vatican, he was like almost every paragraph he kept going back to the Vatican, because they were the source of so many problems.
Yeah, but who has the largest amount of gold on Earth?
Oh yeah, well that's because look, they implemented income tax, so the average people or even small companies and businesses have to pay income tax, but the banks, the central banks, the government, and the church, the Vatican, they don't have to pay income. So slowly over the generations, even though we've been fleeced, and so
they got the humans off of the gold standard so they can get all the gold for themselves, because there is a secret of the gold. And one of the things that King Oban mentioned is he talked about this personage of Jesus. Okay, sorry about that. The person known as Jesus, right? He said, listen, this Jesus existed. They said, but do you understand that what was the reason for the so-called three wise men bringing this Jesus? Myrrh and frankincense and gold. Does any Christian know the reason why these three wise men, who were astrologers, and I would like to think astronomers, they were alchemists? Okay, they're going to fight over a name and not answer the question. Okay, Christians, you see, I gave you some grace, whatever you want to call Jesus. Okay, I'm asking a question. So the person known as Jesus, okay, because you people don't believe anything but what you're taught. So there were three magicians. They were astrologers. King Oban asked the question, why did these three magicians, because that's what a magi is. A magi is a magician. So is a maga. But I'll leave that for another day. Why did they bring Jesus myrrh, frankincense, and gold? Okay, Michelle at least gave me an answer. She said, water of evil spirits. That's a good one because they're very superstitious in the Middle East, right? They're telling me everything but answering the questions, right? Okay.
So they're preparing for his ascension.
Thank you. Okay, so myrrh and frankincense, they didn't just bring it to him. King Oban said, listen, gold, myrrh, and frankincense were not just brought to this person known as Jesus, okay? If myrrh and frankincense are resins, okay? Resins, if you put something in resin, do you know that it will last millions of years? Let me show you.
It doesn't decay.
Bingo. Bingo. They found insects, now this is a different resin, in amber, right? And the body of the insect is completely intact, no broken DNA, because you know DNA degrades over time, right?
Right. And by the way, I do not recommend watching the new Jurassic Park movie. It's horrible, but go ahead.
So myrrh and frankincense was to do what? It was to capture the essence of the Christ. That's what it was for. Because those resins, because they covered him, and this is what King Oban said. He said, you don't understand what was done when they brought it. He said, the Christians don't even understand what was done. He said, because you people don't understand everlasting life. It was to hold his essence forever. And the gold was for life extension. That is why it was alchemists. They were called magi. Magi are alchemists who transmute metals. That process that I told you that the astrophysicist saw with the supernova when it started decaying, they said we saw the alchemical process of how gold is created. The gold was the process of everlasting life. And the resins of myrrh and frankincense, of which they said they covered the child. They didn't just bring him myrrh. They didn't just bring him frankincense. They didn't just bring him gold. They anointed him. And he laughed because he said these Christians don't even understand their own religion.
So was this gold that they brought him? I mean, they probably brought him some trinkets and things, which the family sold while they traveled to Egypt later on. But do you think that they actually gave him the living gold, this liquid gold?
Yes.
It almost looks like lava.
Yes, the liquid gold. And this is where Christians are going to go absolutely crazy. But the living gold was to do what? What King Oban showed me was this. He said, Renetta, when you come to earth, okay, he said, you lose, when you incarnate, you lose 90% of your memory. And you literally come in here because of numbers. You lose 90% of your neurological functions. That is just surviving becoming human. Okay? When he became human, he came in with the loss of function, that 90% of cognition. It is just the way this matrix is set up. What they did is give him the living gold to do what? Open it back up. Okay? That's what occurred. Why did they give him the resin? Because when you incarnate, you lose 90% of your spiritual power. What do resins do? It captures the essence of something. And that is what they did. And that's why they did it as soon as he was born.
Okay. So it also, maybe we can tie this into when you first went into this, I don't know if you call it a cave or whatever, the base or facility, I don't know, it's base, civilization, a kingdom. Okay. So when you went into this kingdom, you were having trouble breathing because of the low oxygen environment, and they gave you a drink. Why don't you explain what that drink was and how it actually helped you invigorate you?
Yeah, okay. So when you enter the kingdom, okay, it's a totally different atmosphere, and obviously you're under something. It's dense, okay? It's dense, and you're in an underground city, and oxygen is restricted. So I was literally heaving, like, and I don't have breathing problems, okay? And I said to James, I said, listen, I can't breathe. It's too heavy in here, obviously, because it's literally paved in gold. And I was given, I can't remember if it was the diplomat or if it was King Oban, but they poured liquid gold down my arm. They gave me like a scoop, and I drank a little bit of liquid gold. Instantly, my whole body went into a state of calm. And then the interesting thing is that I was told that because of the environment, they said what it does is it now changes the mitochondrial function of the cells, okay? Meaning that the cells are powered by this gel-like substance, okay, inside of the cell, and it's powered by literally electrical current and oxygen, right? He said what this does is it adds an element inside of the mitochondria that gives the cell energy to function in a different environment. You see, many people are going to laugh at this and think this is crazy. Listen, We are not breathing real air. We're breathing nanotech. We're breathing aluminum. Could it be that King Oban is showing us the future and telling us how we're going to be able to breathe on the surface of the earth? Remember, they are trying to NUKE this planet, and that would leave the surface air of this planet unbreathable. So when that happened to me, he said, listen, your lungs are now, and your cells are now functioning on another element. Gold particulates are in the cells, and it's supplying you with an additional amount of energy for the cells to run. So he said, because of the change in the environment, because it's far denser down there, because of stronger electromagnetic fields, and the floor, walls, and ceiling is pure gold. One of the things I'd like to get
hold on. And the electromagnetic fields are stronger because it's down in inner Earth.
Yeah,
and that's why they're taller, 9 foot tall, and and really a lot of beings in inner Earth are like that too. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that he said that's why when the Dracos came here, they had a choice to live on the surface of the earth, but they knew living on surface earth would restrict them to a certain height and a certain strength. So they said, listen, we would prefer to live under, because when you acclimatize to the conditions under, they're faster, they're more robust. Their eyes, even though they would go through some sort of dilation when they come into the